think that impacts the room that we've made for a woman to be president?
Well, as we saw in this past election, sadly, we ain't ready. That's why I'm like, don't even look at me about running, because you all are lying. You're not ready for a woman. You are not. So don't waste my time.
Michelle Obama dropping that comment during a recent event in New York to promote her new book and effectively killing any speculation that she may launch a bid for the White House despite consistent support among Democrats. The former First Lady went on to elaborate on why she believes America isn't ready for a woman president.
You know, we got a lot of growing up to do, and there's still, sadly, a lot of men who do not feel like they can be led by a woman, and we saw it. I think we still have growing to do in that regard. And, you know, we can see how progress can be made and things can be snatched back.
Some may call that a pessimistic take, but there's some data to suggest that Mrs. Obama may be onto something. An American university survey from September shows of the 800 or so US voters polled, 40% say they personally know someone who wouldn't vote for a woman for president. That same survey showed about a quarter of voters trusted men more on issues like crime, national security, and global affairs. 31% say they believe men are more able to make tough decisions on national security.
Well, I know you're very disappointed to learn that Michelle Obama has no aspirations for the presidency since you are such a fan.
I'm a big Michelle Obama fan. I'm aware she has no aspirations for the presidency because I would have liked her to run on previous cycles, and she had no interest in doing so. I think she was the only person who could have beaten Hillary Clinton in 2016 or Joe Biden in 2020 for the Democratic nomination. Yeah,
the Obamas are clearly still interested in engaging in commentary. They make speeches. Michelle has her podcast. Barack Obama fundraises. He does things on behalf of Democrats, but they're not interested in being more involved in that. I think Michelle Obama, even less than Barack Obama, is interested in that. Where she skipped, there was widespread speculation. There was even speculation of trouble in their marriage because she wasn't there for the inauguration or Jimmy Carter's funeral, which it doesn't seem like they have any trouble, or who knows, but it was more of her not wanting to do the official functions of state. So she's kind of over it, which is fine. She has every right to do that. I mean, George W. Bush is also over taking an active role in commentary on politics. That was kind of the norm, or has been the norm for the last few decades of presidents once their time is done. Obviously, in our history, there are examples of Taft went on to be Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. John Quincy Adams served in the House of Representatives after being president, but those kinds of things are few and far between.
Right. Look, I think that the key point here is her argument that the United States won't elect a woman as president. And to my mind, I think two things can be true at one time, right? A female candidate can be a flawed candidate and can have weaknesses like anyone else does. I think that Hillary Clinton was a particularly bad candidate and have always thought that. I don't think Hillary Clinton is politically gifted. And at the same time, there can be sexism or misogyny at work that make people reluctant to vote for a woman as president. Those figures we cited in the introduction, where 40% of people in that American university poll felt that they knew someone who wouldn't vote for a female candidate as president, that's pretty shocking to me, in my opinion.
Well, okay, yes, but that's impressions of how other people's views might be. Also, we elect women to all sorts of offices all over the country. We just haven't elected one to president. What I think is going on is that this is very true, for instance, in the case of Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris was picked to be vice president for a DEI-type rationale, for diversity reasons. It's important to us to have a black woman. Joe Biden made that promise based on things that the media pressed him to do. Will you pledge to do that? I actually thought Bernie Sanders handled that better. Bernie Sanders said something it comes to the same effect, but slightly different. He said, well, I'm going to pick the most qualified person, but among the qualified people I'm considering, there's a tremendous number of black and female candidates, and I'm very likely to pick one of them. Right. Whereas Joe Biden said it slightly different in the more, yes, of course I'm picking a black woman because it's important to black people and to women to have a black woman, even if black women don't necessarily identify with the politics of this specific one I have in mind. So because Kamala Harris was boosted to that level for that reason, and then she underperformed because she didn't actually have this resonating with voters, I think it could then look like a female candidate is less likely to win, when it was really a female candidate is more, I would say a mediocre candidate who is female is more likely to be elevated to a position they wouldn't have attained without any of those considerations, rather than actually being, I mean, Italy has an Italian prime minister, Japan has an Italian, I don't think our society is more, has more backward about women in leadership positions than Japan or Italy, frankly. So I think it's something else going on.
Yeah, look, I mean, as I say, I think there are...
I say that as a proud Italian, so I can slam my people.
I think there are various different components to it, and I do agree. I mean, that Kamala Harris example that you cited and the way it was presented gets to the opposition to, affirmative action that Clarence Thomas has, for example, raised, which is he feels, I think, that the existence of those kinds of programs or measures actually casts an aspersion on the achievements made by black people or women or other minority groups. That is a bigger debate in a sense. I will say, as far as like our society and how it works, one of the interesting things in the exit polls last time around was Latino men moved against the Democratic Party by a significantly bigger margin than Latina women did. Yes. Now, that just points out to the fact that this isn't just old white men won't vote for a woman.
Right. No,
there are other complexities around that issue, for
very sure. Much so. Very much so. It is interesting. And yeah, it might be, and again, even a slight disadvantage on this basis would be catastrophic because we have close elections. And these elections are going to be decided by a couple thousand voters in 2 states.
Yeah, so and if you lose 1% here or there, that can be game over.
You're absolutely cooked. Up next, Laura Loomer, one of our favorite people, bashing Marjorie Taylor Greene's boyfriend and wants his press pass revoked. Don't go anywhere.